It'll do.
Straight hair, little black, never sad. All new for you. Stand out straight.
A pleasant afternoon to everyone. I am Attorney Andre R. De Jesus, a newly inducted and immensely proud member of Rotary Club of Makati. I'd like to request everyone to kindly settle down, please, as we are about to commence what we foresee to be an informative and insightful meeting of Rotary Club of Makati and Rotary Clubs of Makati Central. I'm sorry about that. And we are about to commence what we foresee to be a highly informative and insightful joint meeting of Rotary Club of Makati with the Rotary Clubs of Makati Central and Makati North. But before we start, please allow me to just remind the entire House and our attendees of our House rules. Some House rules before I defer to our life-changing presidents. First, be advised, please, that microphones of non-program participants will be muted to help keep the background noise to a minimum. So we might be constrained to politely call out some attendees who might not have muted their microphones, perhaps out of inadvertence, but we shall call your attention anyway, just so that we could keep order in this meeting. Second, we request the visiting Rotarians and guests to please type in the chat box your names, clubs or affiliations, or the Rotarians who invited you to participate in this meeting, so we can properly acknowledge you later in the program. Third, those who have questions for our speaker after her talk are highly encouraged to use Zoom's raise hand function during our open forum, or simply notify us in the chat box. Alternatively, you may opt to type in your questions also in the chat box. We shall endeavor to accommodate the predictably numerous questions from the audience, considering the nature of our topic of today's talk. For proper time management, however, we might have to limit the number of questions for our speaker, factoring the time required by our life-changing presidents for their respective responses, and of course, our desire to end on time. Last, please don't leave it after the responses of our life-changing presidents, as we shall have our customary group photo op with our speaker. Thank you, and please stand by. I shall now defer to our president, our life-changing president, Attorney Louis Asioche.
In behalf of the Rotary Club of Makati, I call this meeting to order. Edu and Kernan.
In behalf of the Rotary Club of Makati Central, I call this meeting to order.
On behalf of the Rotary Club of Makati North, I hereby commence this meeting. In behalf of the Rotary Club of Makati North, I hereby commence this meeting.
So for our invocation, I respectfully call on past President Ed Garma of the Rotary Club of Makati Central to lead us in prayer.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Almighty Father, we thank you for this day to be with our friends in Rotary, to learn something new as we listen to our guest speaker. May we truly value the time we spend with those dear to us given the uncertain time we find ourselves in. Almighty and merciful God, we kneel this day in praise and worship, hoping that our hearts would go out to express our eternal gratitude to you. We are thankful that our families and friends are around to care and pray for one another. May your blessings help us do more for the least of our brothers. May we give joy as we serve and brighten our face with a smile as we see you smiling back to us. We give you praise, our God. In his name, amen.
Amen.
But
Okay, so we now proceed to the singing of the Philippine National Anthem. I'd like to invite everyone to please place your right hand on the left portion of your chest. We now proceed to the singing of the Rotary Club of Makati hymn.
We're the Rotary Club of Makati, and together we stand proud. We are leaders with integrity, always ready to serve humanity, always living by the four-way test, building goodwill and peace along the way, giving hope to the world. We're the Rotary Club of Makati, prepared to aid our fellow men, as true Rotarians we live to lead. We believe in service above self, and this is why we succeed. We're the Rotary Club of Makati, and together we stand proud. We are leaders with integrity, always ready to serve humanity, always living by the four-way test, building goodwill and peace along the way, giving hope to the world. We're the Rotary Club of Makati, giving hope to the world. The Rotary Club of Makati.
Thank you. So to lead us in reciting the four-way test, I respectfully call on past President Boy Sevilla of Rotary Club Makati North.
Four-way test of the things we think, say, or do. First, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it bring goodwill and better friendships? Fourth,
Better friendships.
will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Security Officer for Payball's Asia Pacific region, a seasoned professional and technical leader with over 2 decades in information
Okay, thank you so much for that, past President Boyce Avila, for leading us in reciting the four-way test. At this juncture, we take this occasion to extend our warmest greetings to our birthday and wedding anniversary celebrators and acknowledge visiting Rotarians and guests. Starting with fellow Rotarians celebrating their birthdays this month, Rotarian Roger Collantes, 19 October. Rotarian Roger Sarmiento, 21 October. Our Rotary Anns, Teodi Buenaflor, 23 October. And Anne Rina Collantes, 25 October. A very happy birthday to all of you from all of us here at Rotary Club of Makati. We also have those celebrating their wedding anniversaries. We have past President Joe and Anne Marilu Alejandro, 20 October. We have Tetu and Anne Marissa Garcia, also on the 20th of October. And to Freddie and Anne Ali Placino, 22 October. A very happy anniversary to you all as well. Now, we'd also like to acknowledge our visiting Rotarians and guests. We have here past District Governor, Tony Kila. Welcome. We have life-changing Presidents Gigi Uy of the Rotary Club of Makati Dasmariñas, Cory Navarro, Rotary Club of Makati EDSA, Rage Lorca, Rotary Club of Makati San Lorenzo, and we have some Rotary Anns in attendance, Nelly Bangzon, Rose Galvez, Yvonne Kwan, Lou Limhoko, and Menchu Pascual. We'd also like to greet our guests for today's meeting. We have Nito Alveniz, Carlton Arisgado, Joyce Arisgado, Dieter Bruckner, Mario Cornista, Augusto Gonzalez, and Miss Bea Ochoa. Welcome to our meeting today, and we hope you have a great time as we are. Okay, so I now defer to our life-changing president for the president's time, starting with life-changing President Louis Asioche of the Rotary Club of
Thank you, Andre. Good afternoon. We have two new members making their maiden participations for our club meeting today. You have seen Andre De Jesus, just newly inducted weeks ago, who is moderating this meeting. Welcome, Andre. Later on, you will see David Aboitis, who will introduce his cousin Anna, who is our guest speaker for today. Thank you, gentlemen, for agreeing to take an active part in today's session. Let's have your classification talk soon. Okay, the typhoon and habagat, or the southwest monsoon season, are upon us again, which means we ought to be up and ready to play the role of first responders again, as we have done so in the past years. Severe tropical storm Maring hit Luzon on the 11th of October, dumping torrents of rain without let-up and unleashing fierce winds. It sent families rushing to take cover in evacuation centers, while others scampered to their rooftops. Clearly, the need for food, clothes, medicine, and sleeping stuff was top priority. We immediately coordinated with our partner Rotary clubs to find out what the needs of the affected communities were, and in buying, collating, and even packing the relief goods for delivery. Special thanks to Disaster Relief Chair Chris Ferrereza for overseeing the relief missions. Allow me now to share with you the RC Makati video news of our relief mission in Atok, Benguet.
Magdamag na binayo ng bagyong Maring ang lungsod ng Baguio.
Just 2 days after Typhoon Maring pummeled northern Luzon with heavy rains that went on without let-up, causing severe flooding that inundated rice fields, turned streets into rivers, and sending many families scampering for safety to their rooftops. The RC Makati Disaster Relief Team, led by Director Chris Ferrereza, quickly moved to action. With years of experience behind them, They knew that in situations like this, there is no time to lose. In the early afternoon of October 14, President Louis Asioche, together with COS Ron and Richard, set out for a 6-hour drive to Baguio, arriving there in time for a rather late fellowship dinner hosted by our sister club, RC Baguio Summer Capital. They started early the following morning with the signing of an agreement renewing our sisterhood agreement, with President Steve Kating doing the honors for his club, and President Louis signing for RC Makati. The relief mission centered on 200 families in 4 sites, 50 families each, Kaliking, Poblacion, Abyang, and Paway, all in Atok. RC Baguio SC had recommended the mission sites and volunteered to prepare and pack the goods ahead of time.
Kasi nung nakita po namin, napanood namin sa TV na ang Atok Benguet ay isa sa mga nasalanta nitong huling bagyo, no? Bagyong Maring, syempre, natunaw po yung aming sabi, kailangan makatulong kami. At ang Rotary Club of Makati ay lagi po tumulong. Nagkataon lang naman po na we are fortunate enough to have a very active and energetic brother club in the Rotary Club of Baguio Summer Capital. And we have always been doing partnership projects with them, especially for food relief missions like this.
The relief goods funded by RCM comprised of food packs, hygiene kits, blankets, and 5 kilos of rice. Each package good enough to provide for one family of up to 5 persons. Aside from the relief goods, RC Makati also brought 500 bottles of Bali Pure drinking water, courtesy of past President Tito Panlilio, 500 pairs of sleepers, courtesy of Taba Samson, and 550 pieces of RC Makati face masks. RCM would like to thank Jack Motors for its invaluable assistance as the club's travel partner in the Baguio and Tuguegarao relief missions, providing transportation for ferrying goods and the team members, thus living up to its slogan, Better Drive, Better Life. Special thanks to all the donors for the relief mission. RC Makati is once again doing its share in bringing help and hope to our kababayans in times when they're needed the most, proving that indeed, disaster response is in our DNA.
On the same day that we were distributing in Atok, Benguet, immediate past President Peter and his aunt Pam, on the other hand, served an area they are most familiar with in Narvacan, Ilocos Sur. There, they teamed up with RC Narvacan, another brother club of ours, and with Narvacan Mayor Chavit Singson to distribute goods to 300 families. They also threw in bottled waters donated by IPP Tito, by past President Tito Panlilio, pairs of sleepers donated by Taba Samson, and gardenia bread donated by RC Alabang. The third leg of the relief mission was in Cagayan, specifically in the municipality of Santa Teresita, which is a town on the east coast of the province. That town too was crippled by Storm Maring. In that third province, Chief of Staff Ron Dutaro and John Palmiano worked with RC Tuguegarao to bring much needed help to 500 families in 3 barangays. We're very fortunate to have Rotary clubs and our new transport partner, Jack Motors, to collaborate with us on missions like this and to bring help to communities in dire need fast. And as always, when the call for support is made, the members of the Rotary Club of Makati had responded marvelously with individual pledges amounting to 298,000 as of this date, and that took only 4 to 5 days. Truly amazing. It appeared that we are in for a La Nina season. The rest of the year, we might have to brace ourselves up for more relief missions ahead. With God's providence and blessings, we shall soldier on and do what the Rotary Club of Makati does best, which is service in times of need. That'll be all for me, Andre.
Thank you so much, life-changing President Attorney Louis Asioche. Now we have life-changing President Edu Singson.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon to PGG Tony Kila, my fellow presidents for who are hosting, LCP Louis and LCP Kernan. Protocol has been observed. First, allow me to thank Louis for LCP Louis for inviting me to do the this joint meeting. So we do have our meeting. So this President's Time is more for announcements of what to expect, what we're expecting for the upcoming days. We have a virtual job fair on October 21st at 4 p.m. We have also a Polio Plus Charter Night for our district at 7 p.m. on the 21st. On October 22, Friday, we have the TRF Charter Night. And we will also be having a joint club meeting together with RC's Makati Premier and our Governor's Club, RC Makati Dasmariñas on Friday at 12 noon with former Senator Lauren Delgado as guest speaker on the state of the environment and amidst the pandemic. On Sunday, we are also having a tree walk in Ayala West Grove to explore the potential of Philippine native trees for our home project that we're developing, which is the RCMC Native Tree Reforestation Project. We are also having our first surgical outreach under the Global Grant, which is set for November 22nd to 29th in Tawi-Tawi. So if you are interested to join, please let our Secretary at TISA know so that we can coordinate the flights and accommodations to prepare for the event. So we have about 40 doctors and specialists, med staff and nurses. So this is our first global grant project for the year, which was delayed due to the pandemic. So may I continue to ask you to support our projects and district events, particularly our project, which is spearheaded by our director, Philip Lim, which is to contribute to the Rotary Foundation for $1,000 to be a Paul Harris Fellow. So that the deadline of this is at the end of the month. So that concludes my President's Time. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry, excuse me. Thank you so much, Life-Changing President Edu Singson. We now call on Life-Changing President Kernan Matumo.
Yeah, thank you so much for letting me speak for today. And I'd like to say thank you, of course, to President Louis for inviting me to a very special meeting, and also to my fellow LCP Edu Singson for on this event as well, for us co-hosting with President Louis. Well, it's just really, for me, it's just an announcement. Same with LCP Edu. We have just renewed our partnership with with the Rotary Club of Bolinao, and we're also having a new sister club agreement with the Rotary Club of Iba, mainly because for us to be able to reach out our partners in the Lakas National High School in Botolan. We have an ongoing project there where we will be delivering 20 laptops to the National High School Lakas in Botolan, and we'll be sending our first batch in the coming days. And that's really it. We'll be having our regular meetings actually during Wednesdays at the pizzeria. So, but nevertheless, again, I'd like to say thank you, President Louis and LCP Edu, for the chance to be with you guys today.
Thank you so much yet again, Life-Changing President Kernan Matumo. So again, we thank the life-changing presidents for their time. Presidents Louis Esioche of Rotary Club of Makati, Life-Changing President Edu Singson of Rotary Club of Makati Central. Again, Life-Changing President Kernan Matumo of Rotary Club of Makati North. So to introduce, finally, we're here to introduce our guest speaker for today. I proudly call on a fellow member of the Rotary Club of Makati, and I believe also, like myself, a new member, Mr. David Aboites.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians. I'm proud to be giving the opening remarks on what I feel will be an insightful and refreshing meeting with Anna. Before diving into the heart of the matter, I'd like to give a brief background on Union Bank and Ana as well. I'd like to start with the bank itself and then transition into how Ana is leading the group's vision and strategy relating to customer and digital experience. Union Bank strives to be a dynamic company of future-forward thinkers, committed to bringing the future of banking to the present by being forward-thinking, innovative, open, and agile. The bank seeks to provide our customers with the best solutions and experiences. Priding itself on being more than a bank, they seek to transform the lives of all Filipinos. Their focus is on you, because at Union Bank, the future begins with you. The bank's corporate vision is to become one of the top 3 universal banks in the Philippines with respect to their market capitalization, profits, and customer coverage, grounded in its purpose of co-creating innovations for a better world and its essence of powering the future of banking. To achieve this vision, Union Bank has adopted 5 strategic initiatives: financial value, operational excellence, superior innovation, customer franchise, and the Union Bank brand and experience. Now, to introduce the heart of the customer experience in our bank's digital push, Ana Delgado holds the position of Executive Vice President, Chief Customer Experience Officer, and Chief Digital Channels Officer of Union Bank of the Philippines. She started her career with the bank as a product manager under the Retail Banking Center. Prior to joining the bank, she was an AVP for product management at Citibank from 2006 to 2008. Afterwards, she graduated with a Bachelor of Arts in Art History and Painting from Boston College, and then obtained her master's degree in Business Administration from the NYU Stern School of Business in 2010. Ana is obsessed with fixing things and is constantly looking for new ways to elevate experiences. She believes that the real work of marketers go beyond creating engaging campaigns that simply sell products and services. To her, the marketer of today needs to be at the forefront of designing and creating products and experiences that have the ability to transform people's lives. When not at work, Ana is a wife and a mother of 2 young children who turn her world upside down and teach her a thing or two about the way life and the world is evolving. Thank you, and happy to welcome Ana to the club and hear her speech. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for inviting me to be with you today. It's truly an honor to spend part of the afternoon with all of you. So at Union Bank, we began our transformation journey about 5 years ago. And it started with a bunch of consultants who were standing in front of our key leaders in the bank with exactly this slide. And they said, "You are going to need to digitize or you will die." And if those 3 words were not enough to create a reason for change, standing in front of a room full of bank executives, they followed up with this message to Bill Gates, saying, "Banking is necessary, but banks are not." This was truly a pivotal moment for Union Bank leaders, as it pushed us to either get defensive and deny what was inevitable, or to accept our fate and get excited about reinventing ourselves. It also required us to take a step back and accept that our business as it was would not survive in the next 10 years. In fact, we turned to more experts, and as we turned to them, we saw more evidence of the need to quickly and drastically change the way we were doing things. The average lifespan of corporations has been contracting and is expected to contract further into 2030. A BCG study, in fact, found that the #1 cause of failure is hubris and failing to recognize the need to change, especially amidst disruption. Now, you all might be saying that disruption is not new. It's not, but the speed, complexity, and global nature of it is causing it to affect more sectors and impact more people faster than ever before. We're also seeing that customer preferences are quickly changing, and we need to assess what that meant for us as a bank. So banks used to have a special advantage, and that was that customers simply trusted them. They trusted that our products would work, that they could depend on us when they needed loans or when they needed to put their savings, and that we wouldn't run away with their savings. If we fulfilled these promises as a bank, this was regarded as a great customer experience. Why is this so, or why was this so? And what gave banks this advantage? In the era of brick and mortar commerce, trust looked like this: a vault where I could physically see my money get locked up. It also looked like this: my trusted neighbor that is my banker, who won't steal from me or offer me bad advice because I know where he lives and works. These two things kept banks around: trusted branches and trusted bankers. And while I don't believe either of these institutions will go away entirely anytime soon, we have a generation that has grown up trusting other things and other brands. In fact, the most trusted brands in 2020, of all of them, none of them was a bank. Customers of today have also developed an attachment to their smartphone and the apps on their phone. This device is trusted by the next generation and many of us to solve all of our problems. You need food, you go to your phone, right? And you go onto the Grab or Food Panda app. You're lost or in a new place, where do you go? You get onto Google Maps. And if you need medical advice, we all use Google first, right? Before we call our doctors. So you get the point. All of these new trusted entities have changed the game. Customer expectations have evolved, and banks, among all other brands, need to change their benchmark. The way to build a competitive advantage in banking might still be via trust, but trust is no longer defined as just having a solid or big branch network or a banker I can depend on. Trust in today's world means delivering personalized, reliable, frictionless experiences 24/7 from whatever interface the customer wants. Why? Because our customers' expectations have been elevated by companies like Apple, Starbucks, Amazon, and Airbnb, to name a few. In the digital economy, industry lines are also getting blurred, and the barrier to entry and compete is lower in many categories because technology is leveling the playing field. In fact, the banking services industry is now fragmented with hundreds of new players coming in and changing the game. Our competitors used to be limited to those players in the lower left quadrant of the screen. And today, we are having to craft strategies to compete and cooperate with the other players you see on screen. I would argue, in fact, that we are also competing with totally unrelated companies for attention, eyeballs, and clicks. Why? Because in this new digital era, the more data we acquire about our customers, the better we can engage them. So even if we are a bank, we need to understand who our customers are beyond banking to better serve them. And so the data we can generate and get access to beyond banking is powerful. Taking all of this in was a wake-up call for us. We realized that we were facing two sets of risks. Risks brought about by the need to become more efficient as we scale up, which is what we call business risk. And risks brought about by new competition, openness, and possible disintermediation. These pose for us an existential risk. In response, we developed a dual transformation strategy that would strengthen our business model today to address the business risk. At the same time, we needed to hedge against what we believe could happen in the future and address the existential risk. So Plan A, as you see on screen, is our strategy to digitize the bank fully, which would allow us to leverage technology to lower our costs and improve our banking experience so that we could scale up and get ahead of competition. Plan B, on the other hand, which is on the far right of your screen, is where we would build the future of banking by setting up a whole new company that would just be focused on this. And that's how UBX, our fully owned subsidiary, was brought to life. Now, a transformation needs to be holistic so that you can deliver an authentic and consistent experience across all channels and customer interactions. So we got started by focusing on two of the most important foundations of any transformation: people and technology. First, we established the technology blueprint we would need and developed our enterprise, or sometimes called EA plan. This would ensure that we had a good foundation where all our digital channels and technologies could be anchored on. Next, we adopted an open API strategy to broaden our partnerships with various fintechs and to learn from their expertise. We also formed a business process transformation team that went to work mapping all the processes of the bank to re-engineer and automate what we could. And then we applied higher technologies like cloud, robotics process automation, AI, data science, and blockchain in order to become digital to the core. Lastly, we made sure to equip our people with the tools that they would need to be able to work from anywhere in an agile fashion. In a customer experience transformation, the most important change that needs to happen, however, is in people's mindsets and how the organization is structured. As I look back at the great shifts in mindsets that needed to be made, there were 3 difficult realizations that we needed to act upon with speed, urgency, and unquestionable commitment. These prompted a change in our individual and collective mindsets as we were awakened to the fact that the biggest threat to our business then and still true today is not the competition, but our own mindsets. The first difficult pill to swallow is the firm acceptance that our business as it is and was before will not thrive or even survive in the future because our company is not what the future needs. So we needed to convince our board and key leaders that we had to burn our own platform before the competition did that for us. If we waited for an external force to do that, the game would have been over. Second, we had to accept the fact that as leaders, we are not the leaders the future of the company needs. This means and required that even, and perhaps especially, the most seasoned of bankers would need to unlearn their ways and learn the new way fast in order to lead a successful transformation. We also had to assess what skills gap needed to be addressed and hired the core talents we didn't have in IT, data science, design, and digital marketing, among others. We also merged our operations and technology teams and placed a technology expert with little banking experience on top of it to ensure that our operational processes would be digitized to the extent possible. This mindset is something we hold true even today, as we believe we need to constantly reinvent ourselves to stay relevant. Lastly, we recognized that how we were doing things would keep us from being sustainably competitive. So we had to take a look at how we were organized and assess our ways of working. We then decided that we needed to adopt the agile methodology to be able to launch new features and functionalities quickly and sustainably according to our customers' feedback. Now, because we operate in a highly regulated environment as a bank, it was important for us to engage our stakeholders early on and bring them along the journey with us. So we engaged the central bank, or the BSP, and started a discussion with them early on. We knew that digitizing transactions was important for them and high on their agenda, and so we involved them in our discussions and actually extended our agile way of working to include them. This helped us understand what their concerns and hesitations might be, so we could already address them when we went to them for final approvals. Now, we rallied our teams around a transformation objective, which was to deliver a superior customer experience in order to gain a competitive advantage and grow our business. One of the first things we did was to articulate our customer experience aspirations and outline the role we wanted to play in our customers' lives. And this was done through what we call a CX pyramid, similar to the one on screen. Most brands are able to play in the space of being a utility, or the bottom of this diagram, where you meet customers' basic expectations. Safety, security, reliability lie in this space. It is expected that you can meet this, but it does not differentiate you from another brand and makes your brand susceptible to disruption or displacement. Few companies are able to move up to becoming a choice by making customers' lives easier, and fewer yet achieve the status of being a brand that a customer loves and is hard to live without. Needless to say, our aspiration is to move to the very top of this pyramid. We then went a step further and defined the principles across all levels of the pyramid, which you see on this chart before you. Instead of talking about each, I would like to focus on the fact that we did not document and the exact experience design in this CX blueprint, because we recognize that in a world where customer preferences are ever changing, we needed to be driven by principles and values and not be married to the specifics of how we would deliver them, as this was sure to change over time. Now recall that we were faced by two types of strategic risks. As we worked on addressing the business risks of today, we knew we could not wait to start working on the existential risks we could see on the horizon. We knew we needed to have a separate tech company to address this, since we could not have the same teams working on today's business model, also thinking about tomorrow. We also knew there were things we needed to do that could not be handled by a bank. First, the regulatory compliance alone of such an entity ran at the bank would not be competitive compared to the faster and more agile fintechs and tech firms we are competing against, who are not regulated or less regulated. Also, if it was in the bank, it would not be able to operate in an open and agnostic environment, as it would continue to be linked under Union Bank. Hence, we launched UBX to work on platforms where we could embed banking and offer banking as a service. Today, UBX has 4 startups that have been launched and that are gaining traction in terms of customer acquisition and establishing revenue streams. The 4 startups are I2I, Box, CCAP, and Centro. And I'd be happy to answer more questions in details later on about them. While we started seeing signs of success early on, the fruits of our transformation were truly realized over the last 18 months. We entered the lockdowns in March 2020, prepared to provide our customers with the banking services they needed during those difficult times. Our efforts did not go unrecognized, and we were named the 2nd most helpful bank in Asia Pacific during the coronavirus crisis. This helpfulness was evident in our commitment to ensuring that our essential banking services remained accessible and reliable 24/7 during the ECQ quarantine periods, a time when for all of us uncertainties ran rampant and the needs of our customers could change at any time. Despite the government announced lockdowns in March to stop the spread of the virus, we were able to continue working with little to no interruption. Our teams were equipped to work from home in an agile environment, and so employees smoothly transitioned to work from home and continued to support all of the bank's critical functions, even until today. Perhaps the greatest return on our investment in transformation is our ability to continue to react quickly to the changing environment and deliver innovations that answer deeply unmet needs. First, we recognized that we needed to help our customers shift to digital, and we waived our InstaPay fees right away, so they could easily transfer to their loved ones and make payments to brands they were buying from digitally. Then in early March, we introduced Bank on Wheels, a mobile bank branch to support areas that were getting locked down that had large transactional needs. So this van would go with an ATM machine to help our customers be able to access cash. This also allowed us to help the government in the disbursement of the DSWD Social Amelioration Cash Assistance Program to over 700,000 beneficiaries, amounting to close to 5 billion pesos. We also assisted partner local government units in the distribution of cash or loan proceeds to constituents. And lastly, and perhaps the one I am most proud of, is that we were able to launch a remittance feature in our app within 3 weeks from conceptualization to launch. This was the result of our teams being tuned in to the changing needs of the market and having a desire to react quickly to be able to serve our fellow Filipinos when they needed us most. I want to close the formal part of our conversation today by circling back to the most important player that enables a superior customer experience transformation. This is our people and our employees. Why do we care about and have to focus on them to successfully transform? Because what happens inside our company and how our people behave is felt by the end customer. And I would like to add to this what is often unsaid by our customers, which is, more and more, I have the choice, and the barrier of switching is much lower than so if I'm not happy with you, moving my entire business away from you is just a few clicks away. To bring this point home, I think it's helpful to be able to visualize just how important it is to get everyone in an organization aligned and focused on the customer. I particularly like this rendering of a customer journey because it shows how many departments and people represented by each of the dots or nodes are involved in delivering one single customer interaction. In this case, buying a shoe online. Some might look at each node as a point of potential failure, but I choose to look at each as an opportunity to make magic happen. I encourage all of you to think about each person in your organization as a musician in an orchestra. Everyone plays a different instrument and has to be on the same page with an understanding of the value they add to the piece while listening to each other to make the beautiful music happen. And because I don't know anyone that makes magic happen better than Walt Disney, I wanted to leave you with this closing thought from him. Do what you do so well that they will want to come back and bring their friends. I think this is the aspiration of all of us in the business world, and I wish all of us luck in making this happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much, Anna, for that enlightening talk. I would like to announce that we are opening the floor for questions from the audience. I actually have a few questions myself to break the proverbial ice, and at least two. I mean, I'm sorry for hogging the open forum this early, but I was just mesmerized at the idea that banking has been revolutionized. And preliminarily, Anna, I'd like to congratulate you and Union Bank on your efforts for being at the forefront of revolutionizing banking. But I have two questions. The first is, considering that banking has been digitized, how do you see this affecting money as we know it? Do you see the Philippines, especially the Philippine market, leaning more toward the intangibles and even blockchain, for instance? Bitcoin has been an obscure segment of the financial community, but it might be the norm at one point, considering the way things are going. So how do you see this entire revolution of banking affecting banking and money? And the second question I have is, while there is an effort right now, a growing effort to transition, so to speak, into digital banking, well, we cannot ignore the risks behind going digital. Just a few years ago, 5 years ago, 2016, we know for a fact that the Bank of Bangladesh was hacked, and $81 million, if I'm not mistaken, had been diverted to the Philippines. And part of that was diverted, I think, to Sri Lanka. Thankfully, of course, it did not involve Union Bank, but it's a demonstration of how risks transfer from the conventional bank robbers that we see on movies on the one hand, and now cyber theft and cyber robbery can actually happen. So now that there's a move toward digitizing, how could banks respond to digitizing crimes as well? So those are my questions.
Thank you, Andre. I think those are really great questions. So to tackle the first question you had, I think, if there was any doubt before the pandemic that the Philippines and the Filipino could go digital, that's been completely erased, right? Over the last 18 months, we have seen the tipping point happen. And if we look at our own volumes, we're growing in the thousands of % in terms of digital transactions. Our volumes digital are multiples over our physical branch transactions, if you will. And so there's no doubt that today the Filipino is transacting a lot online. That's not to say that cash has gone away completely. There is still cash, particularly in the harder to reach neighborhoods. But we believe that this trend, we've kind of hit the point of no return, and it's just going to grow exponentially. Now, and I think that brings with it a lot of opportunities for the Filipinos, right? So, you have entrepreneurs who were selling in their local sari stores who now have, the entire Philippines at their storefront, if you will, right? If we can help them go online, they have opportunities to sell to way beyond the audiences that they had presented to them before this digital. Of course, there's other things we have to tackle there, right? How do we help them with transportation and infrastructure that way, right? But I believe that if, you know, we as a Filipino community, we will get there and build all the infrastructure needed to help bring all of us up and to enjoy the fruits of digitization. Now, you asked also a question with regards to kind of trends and, you know, looking at the blockchain and cryptocurrencies and the like. We've also seen huge take up of cryptocurrencies and people purchasing cryptocurrencies, right? If there are any of you here, you've seen how volatile it can be and yet how much the volumes have grown, right? And so a lot of people are putting money into cryptocurrencies. And we don't call it an investment at this point in time, although I know some people do look at it as, you know, an investment for the long term. So definitely there's also a trend in that direction. I think with the rise of NFTs and even, you know, gaming like Axie Infinity that is utilizing cryptocurrencies, there's even more take up. The Philippines is one of the largest, you know, countries that it has players in Axie Infinity. And this is, I think, a testament again to, particularly, I would say on the majority of them are the younger people, but not to say that there aren't people who are also, you know, older or more mature getting into this space. So I think, again, as a trend, that's definitely growing. The bank is utilizing this and testing this new technology. We have platforms that are built on the blockchain, which, as many of you know, is separate from cryptocurrency, right? We're not taking positions in cryptocurrency, but we are utilizing the technology because it's very powerful at allowing different players to you know, connect on a platform and transact more seamlessly. So definitely this is a trend that we think will stay, and in fact, no pun intended, that we are banking on. Now, you also brought up a very good point, and I think it's come to the attention of many people, or, you know, it's heightened people's awareness about security, right? The moment you go digital, there are risks associated with it. And as a bank, we take this very seriously. We've made substantial investments in our cybersecurity systems, in people who are helping us to think through and plan for what the future kind of controls we need to put in place are with regards to cybersecurity. It must be at the forefront of any bankers, and I would even argue any business person's agenda, right? Because the hackers are out there, and they're gonna look for the weakest links, right? And in fact, in our experience over the last 18 months as an industry, we have seen an increase in what we call phishing, right? Which is people trying to get access to our customers' accounts, right? And lure them in. And so actually one of the bigger investments we've been making is in educating our customers, never to divulge passwords, OTPs, and to always log in only on our official apps and websites, right? To be very careful about that, because there are definitely what we call bad actors out there who are looking to exploit all of this. But the good news is there is technology that is available to help even, you know, small, medium-sized businesses to be able to fend for themselves and put up their defenses with regards to cybersecurity.
Thank you so very much, Anna, for that enlightening set of answers to my modest questions. And we do have a few questions. I'll be calling on these persons who are asking questions in the order in which they've raised their hands. I think Rotarian Ernest Villarreal had initially posted a question on the chat box, but now that he's raising his hand, sir, please go ahead.
Hi, Anna.
Hi, Ernest. Nice to see you here.
Well, thank you for giving us some of your time. That was really fantastic. It was very, very educational, and you had a very fun way of presenting it. It just leaves a mark with all of us. I read somewhere that Union Bank is also involved with XLog, and apparently a lot of people are very, very excited about what it's going to do, especially for people, some of the people here in this chat who are especially into logistics and shipping. And maybe you could also tell us a little bit about what you guys are doing a little bit into the boondocks in San Pedro. No?
Yes. Yes, actually, there's a relation between the two. Thank you for asking that. So relating actually to what I said about blockchain and the bank, building solutions on the blockchain, Xlog is a partnership between the bank and InGen through a company called ShipTech Solutions. And what we've done is we've built a platform for the logistics business. What it is it's an end-to-end logistics technology that allows for companies to achieve operational efficiency through real-time monitoring, online documentation, and flexible payment arrangements, all written on the blockchain. So for those of you familiar with the term, it's kind of a supply chain financing and logistics platform. And feel free to reach out to me. I will leave you my information on the box for anyone interested learning more about this. Please reach out to me. We'd be happy to organize a Zoom to talk just about this. And the relation between Xlog and our campus in San Pedro is that InGen's headquarters are actually in San Pedro. So we're very proud partners of Jun Inyon and his companies. And so we've actually purchased a property in San Pedro where we are setting up an innovation campus. And so this is going to be a set of buildings. We're starting with one building where we will dedicate space, time, resources to innovation, right? And co-creating innovations with companies, with communities, and with different stakeholders. This is something that has been at the heart of our culture and who we are in Union Bank. We have always prided ourselves on partnering with our clients to customize solutions for them. And while we're not able to do that today, in this heightened alert status, we believe that we will go back to being able to collaborate face-to-face with our clients in such a space like this. The other providential thing that or kind of purpose of this campus now is, as the pandemic has played out and we're now 18 months and working from home, we realized that,
we're looking into that now.
We can work from different spaces. So we can work from home, we can work from different campuses, if you will. And so for our teams that are based in the South, they can choose to report to our San Pedro office when it's best. So yeah. So I'll leave you all my email address on the chat, and I would be happy to speak more to any and all of you if you want about Xlog at a different time.
Thank you so much. And we do have no less than life-changing President Edu Singson raising his hand as well. Sir, please go ahead.
Thank you. Hi, Anna. Thanks a lot for that, Andre. Anna, my question is with regards to restrictions from the government and actually regulatory concerns. I think that's one of the biggest hurdles we had with the development of the digital platform for online and payment, credit cards. I always thought that the government was so slow in managing for years. Well, because of the pandemic, I'm pretty sure it opened up. So what is your experience right now? Because exactly that. Because of the pandemic, we were all forced to be introduced and be forced into digital payments, digital platforms. What has been your experience and what has changed in the recent months?
Specifically with the government? Or
government regulations, or even with the infrastructure that we have here in the country.
All right. So yeah, thank you for that question. So I'll answer the first part first. We've always wanted to collaborate with the government to help them become more efficient so that we can all benefit from it as well as them, right? And so over the last 18 months, again, we have actually been working. First, we started working with the LGUs to help them get money to their constituents, right? So I talked a little bit about that earlier, where we provided for them cash cards that they could be distributed to their constituents, and so that they could, disburse to them at any given point in time. And it allows for social distancing. They don't have to be lining up getting cash, right? So that was the kind of the first level of collaboration. And then we started to talk also to the different parts of government. Specifically, you may have read in the news, we're also helping the Supreme Court to digitize. I think all of the government agencies realized over the course of this pandemic that, in order to also perform their duties in this environment where it's low touch, that they needed to also get online. And so we're engaging multiple agencies. So those are two kind of levels of government that I've spoken about. There are others we're also speaking to who are interested in digitizing, and we are very happy as part of our Tech Up initiative. And Tech Up, it's almost voluntary in this sense. We see that if we do this, we will benefit the larger community, which in turn benefits us. So we have it in our appetite to help the government to digitize. I think, we've also seen the heightened digitization from all of our clients. If you look at, I spoke a little bit about the kind of the retail applications of it, but if you look at our corporate clients, we also saw huge spikes in signups to our portal, which is the corporate platform where we offer all kinds of services. And more companies, shifting towards digital, whereas they may have been a little bit more hesitant or wanted to take it slower prior to the pandemic. Everybody realized that, it's not a want, this is a necessity during this period of time. So we're also seeing huge take up there. If you look at industries, InstaPay, maybe many of you are familiar with that, the real-time fund transfer statistics, they've overtaken ATM transactions. So if that's just one data point to show you, and I'm sure the other banks are experiencing pretty much similar to us, where digital has overtaken physical transactions, right? One of the startups that I showed on screen of UBX also, it's called Bucks. And Bucks has also seen tremendous growth in terms of user. And what Bucks is it offers SMEs or small and medium-sized companies the ability to collect more efficiently through different methods. So it offers Visa, MasterCard, it offers fund transfers, banknet payments, but it also puts together a lot of storefronts, right? So we allow you to pay, for example, in 7-Eleven. So if I was a business and I wanted to offer a client of mine payment options, 7-Eleven over the counter would be one of them, right? So it's offering payment solutions from cards all the way down to cash via counters. And that's also seen tremendous growth, right? So yeah, I think there's no doubt in our minds that this is gonna continue. We truly believe we've passed the tipping point, and more people are just gonna get on the boat, if you will. And one last statistics or anecdote, if you will, I'd like to share is maybe many of you are also experiencing this. It is very hard to hire IT developers today. They are so in demand that the country has not been able to produce enough IT developers through our educational systems to meet the demand today. And I'm sure as you can imagine, it's not just demand from local corporations, because with work from anywhere, we're also competing to hire talent with foreign companies, right? Because these developers can write code and deploy it in any country abroad. So yeah, hope that answered your question, sir.
I'd like to do a follow-up if classmate Kernan, would you allow me to do a follow-up? I know you raised your hand. My follow-up is that you said that there is, the government was sending out money, cash cards and everything. And we're also doing now InstaPay. But then there's this still sense of a disconnect between all these platforms that like the way they're sending out money for the social amelioration program. They say that, oh, we distributed money, but then we didn't get it, or we can have to go to the bank. If we don't have an account, we have to go here. And when we're sending money to each other, let's say I'm sending to a bank, now there's like a 10 peso fee, but then during the pandemic was 0 fee. Meanwhile in Korea, what I was told is that any bank in Korea, you can transfer for free and it's all seamless. It's spearheaded by the government and it has to be seamless. And that's one of the biggest hurdles we have. If I have GCash, I cannot send to somebody in this bank. There's so many limitations for it. That's why I enrolled to Union Bank, because I found it that's so easy for me to send with InstaPay. I did make a mistake because I wasn't using InstaPay. I was using the other one before. There's like several options.
Yeah.
So yeah, so these are always the restrictions that we're having, and it makes things inaccessible for so much people. What do you think is the future for this?
Yeah,
Is it a temporary fix only that we get to send things at the 10 peso fee, or will we see it moving forward that we can have seamless interbank transfers, seamless payment solutions between other corporations?
Yeah, so I think this is a great question, and for me, this is really where competition is gonna come in, right? With maybe many of you have read that there are now, digital bank licenses. There are 6 that have been awarded. We've actually been awarded 1, but the others are of a mix of both local and foreign firms, and more foreign competitors are also coming in. So we think that competition is going to drive everyone to have to get better. And it may be in terms of pricing, it certainly will be in terms of experience, because we truly believe that the customer has choice today and is going to increasingly have more and more choice. And of course, they're going to choose what's better. We already hear it from our customers, right? A little bit of a mistake that we make, they're very quick to tell us and start complaining, right? And it's nervous on being on the receiving side of complaints, but at the same time, we appreciate it because that's what drives us to become better, right? And so I think it's going to be a little bit of a mix of government regulation and just competition from new players coming in and upping the game. That's going to drive improvement in everything that we're experiencing as consumers. And so that's why, when I talked about having to change our mindset and truly accept the fact that as leaders, as organization, we are not what the future needs. That's really what that's about. It's about recognizing that, yes, we've made a leap from where we were 18 months ago. We've got to make that leap again, maybe 2 times over in the next 18 months, right? We've got to completely up your game all the time.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Before I call on life-changing President Kernan, who has raised his hand respectfully, press, allow me to read a few of the items that were typed into just in the chat box. Perhaps I'll start with a testimonial before going to the question by Rotarian George Barcelon. This one is from Rotarian Carlo Rufino. Hi, Anna, congratulations. We are very happy customers for our family companies. It has streamlined our payment systems and approval process. Keep up the great work. So that's an amazing testimonial from Rotarian Carlo Rufino. But we have a question from Rotarian George Barcelon. Does Union Bank have a digital bank license, or with your platform, are you considered as one?
Yeah, so wait, Carlo, thank you very much for your comment. It's a pleasure of ours to serve you and your companies. On the question about digital bank license, I actually just mentioned that we were one of the 6 that got a digital bank license, and we are in the middle of building that bank and we'll launch it fairly soon. It's an exciting field to be in, and you actually might ask the question, with all the transformation we've made, why did we even bother to get a digital bank license? So this is really, again, anchored on that premise that we always feel like we have to improve the way we do things. And while we've made tremendous leaps forward and we've had success this far in our digital transformation journey, we need to move even faster. And we feel that by putting up a digital bank that's focused just on the communities, certain communities we want to serve better than we are doing today, that's going to allow us as a group, a banking group, if you will, to better serve the customer. And I want to answer here because the question also asks if with our platform, are we considered a digital bank? So actually, this was a point of contention we had with the central bank, because all this time we've been talking about ourselves as a digital bank, and the central bank said specifically when they started to issue digital bank license, all of you who are universal banks can no longer call yourselves digital banks. So the way Union Bank is today, we are calling ourselves a digitized bank, and we will have a digital bank called Union Digital, which we will be launching into the market very soon.
Andre, can I have a follow-up questions? So this would be a different entity, the digital bank.
Yes.
Originally, I know BSP has 7 licenses, but they limited to 6 license. I'm wondering whether it's the entry point that it's very high for companies to be classified as digital bank. By the way, Anna, I'm one of my company, I think, has a lot of dealings with you. My company's integrated computer system.
Yes.
So I believe we do some business together.
Yes, sir. Yeah, thank you very much. Yes, so the process of applying for a digital bank license was very rigorous. We had to present very detailed plans to the central bank about, why we were putting this up, particularly because we are already an incumbent bank. So why and then how, right? What's the type of team we're going to be putting together. There are also, big capital requirements that you have proof that you could put that up. And then you had to prove, you had the ability to put together a very robust IT infrastructure plan. And so it took us a few months to work on that plan. And we went through rigorous interviews with the central bank. And I guess also because of our track record in digitizing Union Bank itself, they were very much for our initiative and our strategy to launch a separate digital bank to target a particular sector of the market that we felt was still underserved.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Thank you, sir. And we have, again, as mentioned earlier, we have no less than RC Makati North's life-changing president, Kernan Matumul, raising his hand. Yes, sir, please continue.
Thank you. Well, I just want to comment that I'm an extremely happy customer of Union Bank. Both of my IT and logistics business are using all the digital solutions of the bank. Well, just a comment though, and a question about the UBX partnership of Union Bank. Is that something that Union Bank owns? And if we are an existing customer, do we have like easy access to these new services? Just to be honest, I was looking for these services before, and it was just now I knew that, hey, you have such services. And after the fact that I already partnered with Paymongo and with some other like Stripe in the UK, and there is such with UBX, and I should have known that you have such.
Yes, so thank you very much for that question. So UBX is a fully owned subsidiary of Union Bank, and certainly we are more than happy to present to you those solutions to see if it'll better serve your needs, no? And I'll make sure that happens. We'll present those to you. We do have a proposition for payments processing, so that'll be great. So I'll follow up on that for you.
Thank you for that. Okay, so we do have some other questions that were typed in via the comment or chat box. But before going to a question from Rotarian Fred Pascual, I'd just like to read a comment, actually not a question, but a comment from Mr. Villarreal. So complaints or opportunities to improve. I think that's a very insightful comment. But the question from Rotarian Fred Pascual is, do you think digital banking offered by an existing bank like Union Bank has an advantage over the newly licensed digital banks?
That's a great question. I think there are different advantages to being, if you will, unencumbered with, and if you look globally at digital banks that are that start up from scratch versus those that are attached to a bank, there are different odds in terms of success rates, right? And I think, what gives us a good chance of succeeding equally to equal or have equal chances at succeeding to a pure startup is the fact that we are aware of the pitfalls of those that were attached to another bank and what they did wrong. In fact, we've spoken to some of them to learn so that we become aware of what pitfalls could drive us to not be as successful, right? And many of them really relate to having mindsets that were in the mother bank, if you will, carried over to the digital bank, right? And so from the onset, we said that the digital bank team needs to be a completely separate team, not run by the same people who are running the main bank team, And they need to be able to operate unencumbered by our thinking, unencumbered by legacy processes or systems that might be in place, no matter how digitally ahead we already are in Union Bank. And so I think that gives us a fighting chance to be able to fight head to head with newly licensed digital banks. We also have kind of the advantages of choosing when we want to leverage what the mother bank has, right? So the digital bank team knows they can run on their own and that they have to decide on their strategy, their setup, their people plan on their own. But if there are things from the mother bank that they can leverage, they have the advantage of being able to do that, right? So it's like having a kuya or an ate you can rely on, who can maybe introduce you to different people that maybe a new player would not have from the onset, right?
Thank you for that. And we have past President Renato Limhoco, who's back and is raising his hand. Please, sir. You're right. Sir, you are on mute.
Rene, you have no audio. I think you have to tinker with this audio settings.
Rene, you're on mute.
Rene, you're on mute. You may have.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, there you go.
Loud and clear, sir.
I was talking of the fact that this is actually require a sea change because we're just barely scratching the surface as far as digitization is concerned. Because, for example, going back to that issue of cybercrime, as an example, my account at Metrobank was hacked. They traced the hacker to an account in Union Bank. So I talked to somebody in Union Bank. The answer I got is, that's not our problem because the system that was hacked was Metrobank's, not ours. So I said, that means the hacker goes scot-free because the cooperation between banks as far as cybercrime is concerned has not been even arranged or set up. So this is one area, for example, where the banks will have to come up with a cooperative arrangement if they want to arrest cybercrime. That's one example. Another example, and these are personal examples, my account in Citibank in the US was hacked. Citibank credited back my account in 3 days. And my son said, that's fine, Pop. They can do that here because Citibank is insured for this type of risk. Are Philippine banks insured for this type of risk? Because the type of risk preparedness will also change as far as the banks are concerned. A third area, which I would like to mention also, is that in the US, I can transact with any bank because they have branchless banking because all the banks are computerized. Not so in the Philippines. It's still very difficult to transact with any branch other than the branch where you open the account. But then when you computerize, all of this must change. All of this will have to happen. But the worst part is you need backup systems because you need to be prepared for any disaster. If the system crashes, what happens to the entire bank or even the banking system? Again, I think these are just examples, and I'm saying that's why I'm saying we're just barely scratching the surface because so many changes will have to happen.
Yes, sir, I agree with you completely. It is early days and there's still a lot that needs to evolve in the banking systems. I am sorry for the unfortunate experiences you've had on being hacked or phished, and it is something that we do take seriously in the bank. And over the last 6 months, I'm not sure when it happened to you, but over the last 6 months, the banks have developed a system of talking to each other. We have, in fact, fraud groups that are intra-bank, specifically to tackle exactly what you said, which is to be able to attack or try to get to the perpetrators, right? These bad actors and hold them accountable. And in fact, we work very closely with the NBI and the police force to be able to do this. And we also recognize the fact that there are laws that need to change to recognize cybercrime and provide the appropriate punishments for it. And when we've spoken to lawmakers, there are laws in the country for it, and I think the challenge is really in enforcement. And so that's something that we're very open to working with the different agencies on, because we have the same agenda as you do in mind, right? It is to protect our customers. In fact, most recently we've been having like this, similar to this, Zoom sessions just to educate our customers on cybercrime and what are the new and most common modus to be able to allow our customers to also protect themselves. So yes, it's something that has to improve and evolve faster than it is today. We acknowledge that.
Thank you for that.
Okay, thank you.
We still have time for more questions, right? One more, just one more. Okay.
One more question.
Okay, there's a follow-up. There's a follow-up question from Rotarian Fred Pascual, who earlier asked about the past president, Fred Pascual. So he has a follow-up question to his initial question on whether Union Bank has an advantage over newly licensed digital banks. How about the trust factor, Anna?
So I spoke a little bit about trust in my presentation, and I believe this is a big factor. And I would say that while I would like to say that the incumbent banks have higher trust, which it comes from familiarity, I think the new entrants can prove that they are trustworthy as well. And it's about how they design their customer experience, how they build up their brands through marketing, and ultimately through experience. I think as soon as people start to try it out, probably people will start slowly, maybe not moving all of their money to different entities, but over time they will have to be cognizant of the fact that they have to build trust for their services. I think a good example of this would have been GCash, right? GCash many years ago was not as big as they are today, and today they're huge. They are the #1 player in InstaPay, which means that a lot of people trust them particularly for low value transactions, and perhaps over time even with growing value transactions. And they've had to build that trust over time, right? So as a competitor a digital bank that has a mother bank behind it, we do believe there are perks to that, but it doesn't mean that we can just rest on our laurels and not have to build the other trust factors, like delivering a great customer experience and making sure that our platforms are secure. So we always go with the mindset that there's always work to do when building trust, right? There's never a finish line to building trust. It's an ongoing conversation and ongoing. Every interaction you have with a company is about building and rebuilding trust.
Thank you so much for that. I see that there are still questions coming in, but regrettably, as I mentioned earlier, while the topic is exciting, the talk itself is intrinsically enlightening, and all the more when we heard the responses to the many questions that were raised earlier. That was an amazing talk, and predictably there are more questions. Unfortunately, we will have to make time for the responses of our life-changing presidents. And for that, we'd like to thank you, Anna, for that amazing talk. And you've got everyone in the audience really excited, myself included, having asked 2 questions myself. And with that, I would like to now defer to our life-changing presidents for their responses, starting with the life-changing president of the Rotary Club of Makati, Attorney Louis Asioche. Oh, I'm sorry. Starting with life-changing President Edu Singson of the Rotary Club of Makati Central. Sir, please.
Thank you. First, of course, I'd like to thank Anna for your time and answering my questions and your expertise. we do have one to present to you, a small token, which is a certificate of thanks. I'll email it to you so that you get a copy. We'd like to really thank you for taking the time. Although the Philippines has remained on the top as the highest on internet usage, almost 11 hours per person per day, and on top of the 6th straight year on social media use, which is 4 hours and 15 minutes per person, a lot of businesses are still not connected online and almost have no digital presence. Businesses still continue the traditional method of selling and the way they do transactions. Even our government, prior to the pandemic, barely used the online platform. Look at LTO and DFA. We are all forced to adapt due to the pandemic. Payments and banking, though, still remains a hindrance, and only 70% of the population is still unbanked. The pandemic has brought about changes in our lifestyle, from the way we go to work, attend meetings, go to school, shop, and how we bank. Filipinos enjoy traditional ways, especially when it comes to managing money, and it is still a huge hurdle. Digital marketing, payments, and banking have had a huge surge in usage, and now everything is done on our phones at the tip of our finger. Look at Lazada, Shopee, Grab, Lalamove, and GCash. I'm glad to see Union Bank is pushing for the future and looking to develop the new banking experience for Filipinos, and I hope that this further pushes the development and adoption of digital technology by the government to promote the ease of transactions with each other. Thank you, Anna.
Thank you so much, life-changing President Edu Singson, for that response. We now call on life-changing President Kernan Matumal of Rotary Club of Makati North for his.
Well, in behalf of the Rotary Club of Makati North, I'd like to say thank you, Anna, for your great presentation about Union Bank. And I'd like to say that I'm really happy again with your services, and I'm looking forward to help my customers on their digital transformation as well. In fact, I right now I create their payment gateways for many of their businesses, and I was just surprised that Union Bank has one, and I was just happy that knowing that right now. But having said that, like what LCP Edu mentioned earlier, Philippines has really have a long way on catching up with our peer countries, and with Union Bank's help, I'm sure that we can at least catch up in the coming years to come. Thank you so much, Anna. Thank you so much, President Louis.
Thank you so very much, life-changing President Kernan. And last but certainly not least, our own life-changing president of Rotary Club of Makati, Attorney Louis Asiarche.
Yes. Thank you, Andre, and thank you again, Anna, for such a mesmerizing and very engaging presentation. You know what, before the pandemic, I get to use up my checkbooks 3 or 4 times a year. But after the pandemic, I seem to have recalled only asking for a new checkbook from my bank only once this year. And this is largely because of the shift from paper-based transactions to online. Classmate Kernan a while ago was, who, by the way, is a very satisfied Union Bank customer, was telling classmate Edu and I how we fill up checks online. We have yet to try that. And whereas before I get to pay $250 for every reorder of a new pad of checks, now we pay 10, 15, or even 25 pesos per transaction online. Hope we can dispense with that soon. We all know that even the banking sphere was not spared from the effects of COVID-19. And who among you remember early on during the first lockdown last year, when many branches were shuttered down because bank employees had to go on rotational work shifts? With branch closures, remote working, and the shift in customer expectations and demands, those which have gotten ahead in digitalization, such as Union Bank, have adapted easily in the new normal. When you Google which are the best digitized, not digital, as you pointed out, banks in the country, it will invariably lead you to Union Bank being one of them. Union Bank is in fact a prime example of a traditional banking which succeeded in going digital. As Anna said, trusted bank, trusted branches. We've had previous speakers who dwelt on the imperatives of embracing the digital transformation, which cuts down on paper-based or face-to-face transactions, because nowadays physical distancing is encouraged, tactile transactions discouraged. I remember, Andre, when the time when our law firm, which used to belong to, was one of the retained counsels of Union Bank, I could already feel the emphasis on digitalization in the bank's premises under Vic Valdepeñas and Justo Ortiz, who were then heading Union Bank. It has a clear roadmap in place then, and the openness of its leadership core with regard to innovation has made Union Bank a true exponent in digitized banking. So thank you, Anna, for giving us your time. I was actually looking for my orange necktie, but I couldn't find it. I would have wanted to wear or carry Union Bank colors. My thanks to your cousin David, a member of our club, for making this possible, and for your 2 kids for allowing you to spend time for us. On behalf of the Rotary Club of Makati, our aunts, our district governor, Georgie Tan, the other Rotarians from the different Rotary clubs in the district, especially my life-changing president's classmates, and a special shout out to my classmates, Edu and Karnan. You rock, man. Thank you for acceding to my offer to co-host this meeting on such short notice. And all the other guests in attendance, please accept our heartfelt gratitude as token of our appreciation. We will be sending you a copy of our 50th coffee table book containing the achievements and milestones of our club for the past 50 years, together with this bottle of wine, which while you enjoy browsing our book. And aside from the wine and book, please accept this plaque of appreciation. This plaque includes a replica of the steel plate that will be put on the reef bud that will be planted in the Sea of Narvacan, Ilocos Sur. This is part of our Save Our Reefs project, which is in line with the Rotary 7th area of focus. This project aims to help revive and regenerate nearshore marine ecosystems, and it has merited the Gawad ng Pasasalamat Award during the recently concluded 58th FishCon of the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources. Now, Andre, may I request everyone to, can we request them to open their cameras for our usual photo op with our speaker. Okay, first slide. Second. Last slide. Thank you. Thank you. And in behalf of the Rotary Club of Makati, I adjourn this meeting.
In behalf of the Rotary Club of Makati Central, this meeting is adjourned.
In behalf of the Rotary Club of Makati North, I adjourn this meeting. Thank you so much, guys.
And thank you, Andre. Such a superb.
Yeah. Thank you, Anna.
Pleasure's mine.
You made our afternoon.
Very impressive talk.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congrats, Louis.
Pwede bang arkilahin yan si Andre pag may meeting kami?
I knew it.
Why not?
Thank you. Thank you, classmate Louis. Mabuhay. Mabuhay.
Classmate Louis, thank you. Classmate Edu, ingat kayo.
Thank you, Kernan. FCP Kernan, thank you.
Good speaker, Binong.
Thanks, Aya.